We are live. Hearing feedback.
Is that me
Testing,
or
testing. I don't know. I don't think I hear it now. Testing.
testing, testing?
Testing.
I
Ah,
think we're good, actually. Yeah, I think we're good. Maybe I was just tripping because I could be paranoid at times. But anyway, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Tit for Tat podcast. I'm Carolyn. I'm one of your hosts. I'm going to let them introduce themselves tonight in case you're new. Jay is not going to be with us today. I'm not even going to attempt to do his fancy intro. So don't even look at me crazy because it's not going to happen. I'm the tit, he's the tat, whatever. What's up, Tit for Tat Nation? Mhm. And we're going to get it popping. There's that. So that's it. That's all I got for y'all tonight. I'm sorry. That's all. That's it. That's it. Y'all gonna have to come back next week for
They get what they get.
unless one of these two want to attempt it because
nah,
Nah.
I don't got
All
that
right.
sauce, man. I don't got that
No,
sauce.
we're gonna let him have that. All right. Can you guys give quick intros real quick just for new people? Jay Mitch, you can go first.
Jay Mitch, originally from Queens, down here in VA. VA's for lovers, and that's what we do. What's good?
For sure, man. Eddie from VA, born in Queens but raised out there in Reston, out here in Atlanta. And man, just happy to be here. A residential married guy with 3 kids.
All right. So we have quite a good topic tonight. I'm excited about it. Feminism is something that, over the last few years has been on fire. We got the Me Too movement, we've got the slut walk, we've got a lot of things that were kind of bred from the feminist movement. And so I'm excited to get into this topic, how that movement has impacted dating. It's so funny. I was doing research, so I was looking at different posts, and I had got into this back and forth with this guy last night, and I ended up falling asleep on his ass. And I woke up this morning. He had like two paragraph long
Damn.
messages in response to something that I had said. And so what it was there was a gentleman on the post, and he was talking about pretty privilege and how pretty privilege is detrimental to the dating, to the relationship world, because men are not, they're deciding that they don't want the pretty women anymore. Like they are quote unquote taking the 6s with great energy over the 10s with a bad attitude. Essentially, that's what he said. And then he was talking about the fact that, and then he made a statement at the end that annoyed me, because he was like, I'm pretty enough for the both of us. So I actually sent it to Jay, and him and I had a little back and forth because I called him sassy, and Jay gets really triggered when I say that word. So
You don't like barbecue sauce?
he was like, why are why does that make him sassy? Because why are you saying, Jay said I took it out of context. Like he didn't actually mean that he was pretty enough for the both of them. He just meant your looks are not relevant, or the fact that you're pretty is not relevant. And a lot of men were saying that in the comments, but I have to disagree with that. I still think that men are placing a lot of emphasis on looks, and I think that they get upset with women in general that are not, that they want but they can't really have. Because if men were all about going for the 6s, and I didn't make this scale, I'm not cool with the scale or whatever, but if men are cool with 6s, and that's what you guys are going for now, because they bring peace. Like pretty girls can't also have good energy, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Then I guess my question is, why are we still struggling with the relationships then? Why are we still not having healthy relationships? Why are we constantly continuing to have conversation and dialogue around the issues that men and women are facing each other, if men are going for those women?
Well, you said a lot there, but I believe that initially what's going to attract a man is what is in front of him visually. And we all got our different types. but ultimately, whatever our type is, we want the ultimate of that type. So if a guy wants a woman that has some beauty, he's going to want the most beautiful woman he can find. And if he thinks that a beauty is somehow connected to her just having a bad attitude or going to be a problem or a headache, then that just speaks to, the stereotypes that he's done put on whatever pretty women have done come across him in his past. But ultimately, men and women both, we want the best of our type, whatever that is. So, we look for that. And when we see it, that's what we're going to go for. If it's out there, we're going to approach that woman. I don't know about this whole, I'm purposely looking for a six or something like that. Like, I don't know anybody that's looking for somebody not at the top of their list. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it just, it don't make sense to me. It sounds good on paper, but it just don't make no sense to me.
That's what I said. Eddie, what are your thoughts?
Man, I really, it comes down, in my opinion, it comes down to what dynamic you're looking for yourself. I think some people are still under the old doctrine. Some people would consider the new doctrine still, but I call it the old doctrine of where you consider a partner to be a pet. And if you look at the dynamic of a pet, they listen to what you say. I control them. I have a leash on them. Sit, stay, go, eat this for the rest of your life. Really, if you really dissect the dynamic of a pet dynamic, it's a codependency. And I think the historic dynamic was where the security was based on like being able to control the woman. But now we live in a new modern age where women are making more than us. They got everything that we got. It throws a lot of men off that are still kind of running the whole play of like, oh, I need you to just do what I say and all this, that, and the third, and I'll be back. I'll be right back, and stop sweating me. But that's not gonna work for a woman now that got everything you got and then some. You're gonna have to treat her like a partner, and just like any partner, you have to have, accountability, reliability. You gotta have all those things. The same way you would with your homie. Like you wouldn't just take his car without telling him. You know what I mean? Like you would, or take money out of his wallet or not tell him. There's a certain respect. But it's just kind of a mind fuck, honestly, because for a lot of men, especially a lot of my family and friends, they kind of don't like this that they can't control today's woman, and they have a problem with it. So sometimes I think, and I don't know if this is what your old boy was talking about on the thread, but a
Mm-hmm.
six to me comes off as maybe someone you can control, where the 10 is someone that you could probably really build with, but you probably don't know if you will control. But honestly, I think who want to control anybody? Like y'all love each other. If you got the best interest at heart, just like if it was business or a partner, sometimes they're gonna stunt and say, "Yo, look what I brought back for us." I'm like, "Oh, good looks." You know what I mean? Like sometimes, I mean, no, it's just. I think that's what's going on right now. Is that a lot of men don't like this dynamic of knowing that they can't control today's woman. I don't know. That's my opinion.
And I think some of that is what the feminist movement is about in a lot of ways. I mean, equality, like getting away from the idea that because you're the man, you should be, running everything or making all the decisions or kind of like controlling the relationship. Um, which is like Eddie said, and I agree with, is wrong. So I want to start with just a baseline. How do you define feminism, and what does it mean to you personally?
My understanding of feminism is the equality of women to that of men in this, current society. Meaning, historically, y'all didn't have, uh, certain at one point rights. Moving forward, y'all didn't have certain opportunities and things like that. So I think feminism is just the balancing of that right there to where women are looked at and you know considered equal to men and this society. um Certain things with feminism, of course, people debate on because ultimately can't nobody agree on nothing nowadays. But I mean, in a perfect world, it's supposed to be y'all can do everything we can. Long story short.
But you don't believe that to be true.
Oh, I believe it. Half of y'all don't believe it. But
That's
even though
interesting.
y'all are asking for it. Because the thing is, with equality, you you get all of it. You get the good and the bad. You get the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives. There's a good number of women asking for equality, but only wanting the positives of that equality and not the negative.
Mm.
That's good stuff. What would be an example of a negative aspect of equality that women don't necessarily? I mean, like you said, we're pushing for equality, but when it comes to something like this example, then we're not necessarily on board with it, or we're not a fan of it. Can you give us an example?
Working for a living.
Ooh, women like to work. We
Oh,
work.
whoa, 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 whoa. You know that there are women, probably even in your circle, that their goal and their aspiration is to find a man, get married, and be a housewife, how a house mom, blah 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 blah, i.e., not work.
Fair.
Facts.
But if we equal, and I'm working, shouldn't you be working? If we equal,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
well, I think deeper than that, from what I see on my end in my backyard, is that now that women make a lot of money, they don't want to pay for nothing. Like, like when Jay gets when Jay get his degree, or when Jay gets the promotion, or when Jay, you know, is gonna be quarterback for the for the Redskins or whatever. The first thing you say is like, I'm gonna buy my mama a house, buy my daddy a truck, right? But I've never heard a WNBA player say that. I never heard, even the Olympics, have I saw a woman go, I'm gonna buy my mama a house, because y'all
Oh, I'm
don't
glad
think
you
that
said
way.
that. The reason why they don't say that is because the male NBA player is getting $7 million, and the female NBA player is getting $100,000.
No,
And
that's true,
so,
but I mean, like, the sentiment. Like, okay, let's take sports. That was a bad example. Let's say we both win the lottery, which is whatever, a couple $1 million. In my head, in every man's head, I'm gonna say every man's head is thinking, I'm gonna buy my mama a house, buy my dad that truck, go ahead and get my cousins out of debt from college. A lot of women, with the exception of you, Carolyn, because I know you a unicorn, but a lot of women don't think that way. They think, oh, that's all me. Matter of fact, I don't need Eddie no more. All of a sudden,
wow.
I don't need all them no more. I can go ahead and like, they look at they quit a man like they quit a job all of a sudden when they win the lottery, because their mindset, a lot of women, is like, not to take care of nobody. Now I can take care of myself, and I got it. I'm good. And that's the feminist part to me, because it's like, all right, so now you equal, so that means you got to pay for all this. You can't just get used to the old days where you can just run up the tab and walk off. Now, mama, you make money, so you got to put in. You got to put in on this tab too, and
But
utilities up.
I get that because I am a woman who, I mean, I don't want to spend my own money, and I do want my man to pay for things.
And that's
Not
what I'm
gonna
saying,
lie.
man.
Not necessarily all the time, because I honestly, I will treat too. And anybody that really knows me knows I'm generous with my money. I like to treat people, I like to spoil people that I love. But at the same time, I don't think I think maybe what's different is like the expectation. Is because, like, to Jay's point, if I as a woman am expecting a man to do blah 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 blah, I can't holler equality if that same expectation doesn't exist for a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily expect a man to pay all the time, but I want a man to pay all the time, right? So I think there's a difference. And it might not, I'm not saying it's right to have the mindset of the man do all the work, and while I sit home and I'm a housewife, which is not my personal desire. Or, the man pay for everything all the time and I never spend my money, um, which is my desire.
So this is what I'm saying. I remember during COVID, a lot of my friends and family members lost their jobs. And I had two of my close friends that had to live, and I hate, you can't even, this is why it's feminist to even say this, but they had to live off their wife. But we would never say that if that was, oh, I had to live off my husband. Nah, you would just, she was the one that was up, you was the one that was down. And I remember my friend at one point, they almost got a divorce because he was like on his 10th month of not working. And she was complaining about when you gonna find a job. Mind you, she was caked up, but she wasn't used to having to pay for everything. So in her mind, it's like, yeah, so what, I'm up, and so what, I'm winning with all this money that I'm making. But the idea, the sentiment of having to pay all the bills was foreign to her. And I argue that it's foreign to most women. And I point to what I agree with Jay is that we're to your point, we expected to do this. It shouldn't be the exception for y'all, because now y'all up too. Y'all should expect to pay this too. I might be down. Oops, got a car accident. I'm out. I can't work. You got us, Bill? You got us? But all of a sudden it's like, it's like, I would never complain if you got in a car accident or got laid off. I gotta get you. I already know it's not even asked. I'm gonna get y'all. Just get well, rest that leg. We'll be back. You'll be back. But none of this like huffing and puffing. It's like, wow, it's been 3 months now, Carolyn. Oh my God. Have you called a recruiter? Yeah, you know any headhunters? I heard it's like, come on, man, you sweating me. Like you sound like you sweating me. Well, it
No,
would never be the other way around. It would never be like, oh wow, boo, it's 8 months now. What you gonna do? Are you looking?
yeah, I get that. And I actually just having this little bit of dialogue that we've had so far, it's like, okay, yeah, that's not, maybe our ideas are a little bit skewed because again, there's an expectation placed on men. And that same expectation is not placed on women. And so I see that there's an imbalance in that. And so I want to segue into the other issues that feminism has brought into relationships, um, negatively or positively. Do we think that there's been any positive impacts from feminism?
I mean, absolutely. Just again, going back to the work world. I mean, women are now been empowered with being in positions of power and authority. Their salaries are slowly but surely catching up to getting some parity with, on average, salaries of men. Um, Women are, there are more things in society that are geared towards women. You know what I'm saying? Just from a woman's perspective and things like that. So feminism is good. And at the same time, if a woman is empowered, if a woman is able to do more within her life, then that just means whatever man is in her life is going to be impacted positively as well. I mean, it's a win-win.
I think so. What do you think, Eddie? You have
Yeah,
anything to add to that?
yeah, I think it's amazing. I love it. I mean, I have a daughter, so my skin is literally in the game. And my hope, and it's gonna laugh, y'all gonna laugh. My hope is that my daughter can love a man based off just loving him. Like it don't have to be a business move. Like you know how like if you were to bring a man home and be like, yo, I got this guy I met, mom. Oh, you're gonna love him. The first thing what's she gonna ask? What's he do? What's he make? You know, Daddy don't ask about nobody when I'm bringing a girl home. It's just like, oh, cool. She makes you happy. That's great. That's the dialogue I hope I have with my daughter when I don't gotta ask her like all these box questions. Does he do this? What's his crypto looking like? What's his portfolio? Like I don't care because I'm hoping to raise my daughter to be kind of woman that got it herself. So if she got it herself, she don't gotta check it for you. So basically the way a man loves a woman, the way a woman I hope will love a man will be like, yo, I just love you because your energy is right and you make me better. Never mind you probably, in between jobs right now or whatever. But man, I know that ever since I met you, I've been up. And ever since I met you, I've like, just been better. Life is better for me. You pour so much wisdom into me. We pray together. Whatever we do together that I see there's a whole difference. It's nothing about monetary is what my hope is. Because that's how men love women. I've never met a woman be like, yo, unless she's maybe Oprah, be like, yo, son, I came up. But it's usually like, yo, she's an amazing woman, man. She's God fearing or whatever. She, I'm eating better because of her. I'm doing all these gym things now because of her. It ain't all like, yo, Carolyn, like she playing this and that, and got all this money. I don't know dudes that talk that way.
Well, let's talk about current events because right now, obviously, we have a woman running for president of the United States. And, I read a lot of comments regarding that. Would you guys agree, or do you think that there are a lot of men that feel like voting for her would be a bad decision because of the fact that she's a woman?
I think there's a part of the population that thinks that women are emotional decision makers and they use that as a way to run a narrative that there should never be a woman president because, quote unquote, women are emotional. She has the nuclear football. She can press the button at any moment. It'll be end of the world. Blah 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 blah. It's. I mean, I personally think it's rooted in some level of fear of what would a woman do because I think that comes from certain men that, like Eddie said before, that once they don't have a control over what a woman can do, or once they feel like their, their male counterparts don't have any input, once that input's lost, I think that's when that fear mongering happens and they start to feel like it's going to be the end of the world. It's going to be a bad thing. It's just, it's really, like I said, it's just really based out of fear of the unknown. Some men just can't wrap their heads around trusting a woman. And part of it is
Wow.
internal, but then again, part of it's, uh, blame society. I mean, because historically, everyone's been taught men know better. Men are in charge. We handle everything, and y'all just do whatever we need y'all to do. And until that changes, there's always going to be a subset of men that's like, we can't have a woman president.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing in my backyard too. I'm hearing like deep stuff too because I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm
Ugh.
hearing people. I'm hearing a lot of talking points now where you can hear people talk about how women have never done anything for the society, and it blows me away. And one guy even said this proudly, and I misunderstood it because to me I looked at it like, wow, that's how desperate we are about holding women back. Did y'all notice? And y'all, do your Googles that women weren't allowed to get a loan without a man's signature till '88, bruh. I remember
88?
80 motherfucking 8.
You lying.
When I looked it up,
1988?
don't believe me. I'm lying to you,
Because
dude.
what?
Yo, I was like, a woman could not get a loan without a man's signature until '88, and that was most banks. I don't know what most means, but most banks. Kind of like how Texas did us with the slavery. You know what I mean? But like, we'll hold out. But like, we'll see if they check in. But at the end of the day, it's like, damn, like that's desperate. So over here in my backyard out here, most people talk about the commander in chief part of the presidency and how most people fought in a war or maybe put some bodies down if that looks sexy. But they look at it like, oh, Kamala never. I can't imagine her in a war. Never she been in a war. How could she be a president not being in a war? Just ridiculousness that just. And then of course the whole thing that everybody's throwing around too. Oh, she slept away and just stuff like that. For me, having 3 sisters, I used to hear people discredit my sisters like that whenever they were mad at them or wanted to hate on them. It was the whole like, yo, she a hoe. She sucked this dude dick. They're like, damn. So see them playing that okie doke on Kamala is laughable to me because I've seen that. We've seen that. That's overplayed. So to me, I think it's scaring a lot of people. I hope she win. That's just gonna, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. I hope she win. But I
Oh
hate the
no,
fact
say it
that
out loud.
but I hate the fact that people are literally like losing sleep over the fact that she could win.
I agree. And I want to go back to a comment you made about being in the Bible Belt, because I want to ask what might be a controversial question. And let me just preface this by saying I am a Christian. I love God. I'm so thankful and grateful to Him. He is the head of my life. But do you think that feminism is anti Christian based on what the Bible says?
Well, I'm a Christian too, and I, I, I mean, from what I remember, and I don't even want to say this out loud, I might get jumped on. But I remember like they said one of the most overused words or the most used word in the Bible is help. Apparently, help in Hebrew is another word for God. And then when they consider the woman a helper, it's not so much this like helper of submissive person that's powerless, do what you will. It's like a powerful person of God that's supposed to catapult you, the man, into this next level. And now that we live in a modern time, we need more from our women, the same way women need more from our men. They, we have to. I don't want to say that. I know the word soft has been demonized, but you have to be a little more softer now as a man to move in the space of a family. You can't be hardcore like drill sergeant with your kids and with your wife. And a woman herself has to be a little harder, and not hard in the sense of like callous and mean, but like a little stern. Hold people accountable, show the numbers. You know what I mean? Hey, you're not doing this. You ain't clean your room again this week. Go off a little bit. Make a mess. Let people know you're there. And I think now, like I look at feminism, like I look at if God was supposed to be at one time wrathful, and then of course peace and all that. We never said like, and he's supposed to be part of a woman as well because he considers himself a helper, and he made woman to be a helper. I look at that as a strong thing. And sometimes, like if that means I gotta build a house, and put up my kitchen by myself, which I see a lot of women doing now. Like matter of fact, I went to a party over the weekend, and my homegirl was like bragging about how she added all these sections to the house, and I'm like, and me and all the guys were looking over like, yo, I could have never done something like that. And I had to whisper to my homeboy because a little bit of my little bigotry came out. I ain't gonna lie, don't hate me. But I said, bro, did she really do that by herself? And he laughed. And he said, yeah. She's like 5'2", looked like, and she was put up like a sunroom and did the whole like the everything the things I would have never been. I would have hired someone to do. She did it herself and was like, I'm good at this, and was
Yeah.
loving it. Then she started creating projects. I know my wife did the baby room back when she was a baby, like did all the, and I was just like, yo, why don't we just hire something? She just thought it'd be cathartic. But my point is like, that's kind of normal now. I know women that can change their own oil now in their car. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to change to save some money. I don't know. It's crazy. My point is that now that women have these new freedoms and they can get their own loan now, they can do a lot of things that we can do. We finding out too. Like, oh, yeah, you can do that too. Ooh, you know.
Jay, I want to put that question to you because I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on whether or not you think feminism goes against, the Christian beliefs.
Well, being a longtime member of Bedside Baptist, I believe that
Hallelujah.
my Sunday YouTube sermons that I have received have taught me that there's nowhere in the world feminism is against Christianity. The idea of treating one human being with the same level of respect as another woman to man is there's nothing anti-Christian about that. It's completely God's way to love everybody and to treat everybody as equals on this planet, regardless of what they look like, where they came from, et cetera, et cetera. I,
Okay.
I don't know how people can come up with how feminism could be anti-Christian. I don't even understand that. Like that, I can't even see how somebody could even come up with that thought.
I think because I've heard people say and read comments on social media about the fact that God created man first,
Oh, I think my thing is tripping.
and then he made woman from man, or made woman out of man's rib. And so the inference there is that because a man's station is higher because he was the first, right? Like I've heard people say if women were supposed to be, the first, or if it was appropriate for women to be equal, why didn't he create them both at the same time? It sounds really dumb, but also at the same time, it does kind of make you think like, should, based on things like that, is feminism, anti-Christian? And that's been the argument. I agree. I don't think feminism is anti-Christian either, because I think that God loves us all equally, and therefore he sees us the same. God sees all men, woman, whatever, like he sees us all the same.
Right.
So I don't think that it is, but I have heard people make that argument. I want to pivot a little bit and get spicy, because I think Eddie mentioned, I don't know if it was Eddie or if it was you. I can't remember. Somebody mentioned something about sex. And I definitely want to get into that, because I think that that's something that you back. You good?
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Oh, no, that's okay. What can you
It's
repeat that
coming
comment
for you.
about sex? Because I want to pivot into like our views on sex, and how feminism has impacted that type of thing. But I can't remember what you said. Do you remember?
About sex, or what you like the act of sex, or you mean like the biology of sex?
I don't know. You said something about sex. I can't remember it. Or maybe you did. Maybe I made it up. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about sex. So we've had Dr. Angie on the show many times. And one of the things that she said that will always stick out to me, and if you don't know, Dr. Angie is a sex therapist. And she's come on the show and she's talked about the ideal that sex for women by societal standards is supposed to be like this sacred thing that we give to the man. Like it's supposed to be a pleasurable thing for the man, and it's supposed to be almost like the woman's duty to have sex. Like we're not having sex, we're giving sex, if that makes sense. And I think that is something that really stuck out with me the first time she said that. And it has actually changed my thought process about sex and around sex and how I move sexually, to be quite honest, because before I definitely felt that same way. I felt that sex was this thing that was supposed to be special and reserved for just special people. And, it's, you want to keep your body count low or stay a virgin. I mean, staying a virgin, that's tough, but keeping a low body count, I can work with that. And so, and then it's like, but what if I, as a woman, just want to be sexually liberal? Like, what if I find you attractive, I want to have sex with you, that's it. Women are shamed for that type of behavior. And that's another thing that the feminist movement really keys in on, is how society treats women versus men when it comes to sex. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the slut walk.
Yeah.
Okay. So while I don't support her, and I don't necessarily support the slut walk, because I don't know, maybe it's just the word. I don't like the word slut because it's demeaning. So maybe that's what triggers me about that. But I do understand why something like the slut walk exists, because women are saying, it's my body, I can have sex for pleasure if I would like to, and there shouldn't be any type of negative stereotype placed on me because of that. And even going back, so like, even you guys have a daughter, I know, Eddie, you have daughters, Jay?
Yeah, I got a daughter. Yeah.
So I thought about this too, because I read this somewhere. Men teach their daughters to refrain from the sex, right?
The sex.
Yeah, you don't want your daughter having sex.
Refrain from the sex.
You refrain from sex, right? I know my daddy did. He was just like, nah. I mean, but you don't teach your sons the same thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of men praise their sons for having sex. Whereas I remember, honestly, the first time my dad found out I wasn't a virgin, he cried. It was like really interesting. No, he really cried, and I was like old. I was in college, but I don't know why I never understood why he got so emotional about that at the time. I was just like, it's okay, it's my boyfriend, we good. But But that makes me think of that too. So that I think it starts there because if we're raising our children to have that mindset, that's going to continue to be persistent in society. Whereas the feminist movement is saying, no, we need to get away from that. So what do you guys think about that? Because you have daughters, and I know you don't want to say, well, I'm going to tell my daughter it's okay to have sex, because you're probably not. So what do you guys think about that? And give me some feedback. Yeah.
I think the whole idea of, you know, women refrain from sex as much as possible, be chaste and virtuous and all that was
Mhm.
something that society put on them, society being men in power, because ultimately we know we some dogs and we can't control ourselves. And we can't have everybody just running around crazy out here, even though in 2024, this is where we basically landed. But prior to recent times, the only way sexual like diseases wasn't running rampant, the only way early childbirths weren't going through the roof was because women had some sense. We ain't never had no sense. Historically, when it comes to sex, we doing it here, there, everywhere, with whoever, whenever, however. I mean, it's just something that, as a male dominated society through history, it's just what men have done. We never really put any safeguards or real, real standards to how we should carry ourselves sexually. So, and we realize, well, we can't stop ourselves. We can at least stop women. So
Mm.
now we at least got a 50-50 chance. If she tries to do right by her body, if she tries to, limit her number of sexual partners, if she tries to, have some type of virtue, good, because at least in that situation, whoever she gets with, there's a chance that they'll be all right. Leave it up to the men, we're gonna blow it. And I don't know if men are ready to admit that, but that's just facts.
But do you see the lack of equality in that?
Yeah,
And
I mean, definitely, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
had there been more equality, it wouldn't have been like that historically. Now you see in the current times, there's more equality when it comes to women's sexuality. More, not it ain't there yet. It ain't, what I'm saying, it ain't 50-50 yet. But there's more to where women are saying, I choose to do with my body what I want. And if you don't like it, you just won't be the guy I'll be having sex with. And if eventually, if enough of y'all take that on, one of two things is going to happen. Either men as a whole are going to accept it and be like, cool, it's on, you know what I'm saying, it's on you, we follow your lead, or there's going to be a whole lot of legislation telling y'all what y'all to do sexually. It's going to
Which
be one or
is
the other.
it's happening still. Like, how can you? It's like the idea that it's okay for women to have sex, right? But it's not okay for women to, be on contraceptive or have an abortion if they should choose to do that. And, that's not, I don't think legislation should be dictating that, especially in a male dominated society. Like, how can you say what women should be able to do? Because then again, it supports that ideal of, women, you give sex, you can't have sex. Because if you could have sex and you could have sex and then you could deal with that however you wanted to, including, protecting yourself from pregnancy by using contraceptives or having an abortion if you have an unwanted pregnancy. But the fact of the matter is, there's legislation trying to control that, as opposed to, so yeah, sorry, that it just supports that thing that sex is something for a man to enjoy. It's something that women are supposed to give to men, and it's not, it's a gift. It's not something that we can do as women because we are human and we enjoy it and we want to do it. Eddie, did you want to say something? I feel like I cut you off.
No, no, no. I was listening, but it's funny you made a good point because I haven't, obviously I haven't talked to my daughter. She's 3, but
Right.
My son recently got caught with porn on his phone, and I remember my wife was livid and going crazy, and in my head I started kind of laughing because I knew I couldn't get that mad because I'd be a hypocrite because when I was younger than him, back when it was VHSs, I had a whole stack of them under my bed and playing them, when I was younger than my son who's only 12. So my wife's like, yo, go talk to him, and I started like kind of praying over what I was about to say. And as I was talking to him, I led from a place of failure, because I was watching porn like crazy all day, every day when I was younger than him. And I told him straight up, I said, I said, I know you're watching porn, you're not in trouble, but let me explain what you're watching because you don't know what you're watching. And I broke it down in such a way that he probably didn't understand, but I knew it was one of those moments where it was like, hear me now, believe me later. Because what I explained to him was like, what I learned later as a man even was that I knew that I was watching porn as like an instruction manual. I thought like this is how sex is supposed to be. And then when you actually start having sex, you find out that it's made for just men. It's like FUBU, for men by men. So like women don't even enjoy it in the movie that you're thinking. Like they're screaming, harder, harder. And you find out when you do that in real life, they're like, stop, So I had to learn how to have sex.
Or they don't enjoy it because men aren't.
And then of course every porn end the same, right? You splash in their face and you find out women ain't about that. My point is that I had to explain to my son, I said, you don't want to watch that because it's not good for your soul. But second, it doesn't even teach you what sex is really supposed to be like. I said, matter of fact, what you'll do, what you're going to end up doing is worse. You might objectify women because you've been watching too much of it. And then when you try to connect with a woman with sex, you don't even know how to do it right because you watched it all wrong, and then he understood like, wow, let me stop watching this because it's not right at all because it doesn't favor what women like. I know now that I know what I know, I watch porn like it's like a cartoon. Like, yeah, that's not how sex is supposed to be like. But my point is that the fact that like men own that industry to where every man, every boy that's watching porn thinks that that's what women like in sex. The slapping, the whatever, and then you find out like when you get with a girl, that's not even close to what they're looking for and what they want. So you have to relearn what sex is, and then even relearn how to look at this person as a person because you've been looking at her as this fantasy, and that's the thing that porn does. It fetishizes women, and I think the fact is I hope when I talk to my daughter, I'm gonna have the same conversation, but I also got to throw in the extra sauce on it because the truth is women are ones that are left raising the kid. Old boy can go finish college. And that's the thing that people don't want to talk about. I can get me a couple girls pregnant over the summer. Boops, I'm going back to Kentucky though. I got to finish out my school. Ain't nobody tripping. Nobody going to chase me down. Women kind of know like, oh, it's going to be me and my parents taking care of this kid. And it's like, it's crazy. And the man will sometimes kick out some money. And if he come from a good family, he might visit on time at weekends. But it's like, I don't want that for nobody, whether it's my daughter or my son, because, my point is like, yeah, man, that's the thing that I think feminism doesn't really take into accountability, that sex shouldn't be recreational. Because at the end of the day, when you do get with someone, you end up developing preferences. So now you all of a sudden you love your man, but you kind of look at him funny because he don't hit it as well as Jeremy from back in summer camp. And he ain't really going down on you like Joey did from whatever. Because now you're looking at sex like a sport. And then you kind of have this weird conversation. You like, because men are doing the same thing. Like, yo, you don't go down like this. My ex used to go down. And then the kind of conversation, because you had all these preferences, because you got body counts up the wazoo, it gets funny now. It's like having ice cream with somebody. Like, you don't hit the sprinkles the right way. And this becomes like really crazy. That's why sometimes it's not about shaming or sluts. I'm with you with all the language. But I think now I look at sex and body counts the same way I look at food. You gotta be more responsible. I ain't gonna take a whole tub of ice cream at 2 a.m. like I would. Like I thought, my body's telling me to do. Yo, take that brownie to the face. It's only 3 a.m. You be fine. Now I'm realizing doctor saying, bro, you got high cholesterol. But at the same time, my saying is like sometimes you have too many body counts. You have too many preferences that you almost can't get serious with somebody.
That's an interesting perspective that I'd never considered before.
You ever watch Nemo? Finding Nemo? I was watching it the other week.
Yeah, I love Finding Nemo.
So I think this is how sex looks like to a person that has too many body counts. Do you remember how that shark was trying to be friends with the fish, and all he kept saying was like, "Fish are friends." He kept
Yeah.
repeating it because he was trying to psych himself out. He tried to be fake with the fishes when they were friends, and but once the fish revealed that it was a fish with the nosebleed and he smelled the blood, he went crazy. And
Mm.
I'll put myself accountable. I'm notorious for smashing a lot of my female friends because I used to think fish were friends. But once I was like,
That's wild.
oh, it's steak tonight. I was going crazy, man. I was like, damn, Karen looked that good. Damn, let's
Oh
get
my
rest. And
gosh.
that's what I mean. Like, you don't know how to control yourself because you have sexualized women in such a way that you pretending to be their friend now. And that's
And
the
I think
damage.
something that is going to be social media has actually made worse. Like it already existed before, but now social media has made it worse because you can go on social media and see the sexualization of women everywhere. And they are sexual, okay, so then there's this fine line because there are some women that will say, well, I, as a woman, should be able to put up whatever I want to on my page. Why do I have to cover myself up? Why can't you just not sexualize me as a man? Like, why is it that, I should taper how I dress or like I said, cover myself up. Why can't you as men not sexualize a woman just because you see her and she's half naked? What are your thoughts on that?
I think because men and women continue to have this power struggle in terms of our interactions and in terms of our places in society and where we see each other, eventually, if women can continue to try to retake the power of their sexuality, one or two things are going to happen. Either men are going to finally accept and say, okay, we get it, we understand, and we see you as equals, or men are going to use your quest for sexual equality against y'all, and men by and large are going to just start saying, we now want virgins. There's going to be some type of reaction. It's either men are going to give up their present position of power sexually, or they're going to go ahead and say, you know what, bring on the virgins.
Probably the latter, because I think that's what men tend to do when they can't control a situation. It's like, well, screw it. If you're not going to bend to my will or do what I say, then it's going to be on to the next, you know? So that's an interesting perspective and thought process. Um, I don't know. That's interesting. I want to pivot a little bit because in my research, I was literally looking up, feminist different ideas and things, thought processes. And so I came across a girl's page. So I'm going to read some things and I want to hear your thoughts on these, but I want to make sure that I give credit to the author because it didn't come from me. So there's an Instagram page called Farida, the author. I don't know. She's clearly a feminist, but I'm going to read some of the things that she says because these I took screenshots of the things that made me stop and think for a second, So I just want to get your feedback on that. So here's one. Patriarchy denies women the right to be sexual, to experience sexual pleasure, and to express their sexual desires, but at the same time expects women to be readily sexually available to men. This is not a paradox. It is exactly how things are supposed to be in a patriarchy. Women are taught not to have sex, but to give sex to men. Thoughts?
I mean,
Yes,
personally, I think
yes, and yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with that.
but I do think things have changed though. Like back in the battle days for women, uh, no one cared if y'all even enjoyed sex. Like there was always that scene in any movie or show where I hit and I roll over and I walk off. I get out of the bed, and the woman's left there like that was it. And it's like I can't tell you how many since Viagra Now they got Blue Chew and all these things that are kind of a way to try to make sure that women enjoy sex. Most men now, knowing that they really have to like step up their game, even in the bedroom, because of feminism, can't just hit you with the one hitter quitter. They gotta be creative now. They can't just smash and grab like they probably wanted to back in the day, the 90s, the 80s, where who gave a fuck because she's just a girl. But now it's like, oh shit, like I gotta step my game up. Now a woman can say at a dinner party like, "Yo, he was whack," and it would embarrass the man. She can almost take her power back by saying, "Yo, I couldn't even pop popcorn as long as he smashed. Like it was horrible."
Best
And do it.
believe it's getting talked about in the group chat.
Yeah.
Group chat.
We're back in the day. It was like the fact that I could look at a girl and be like, "Yeah, I smashed that." Now her rebuttal will be like, "Yeah, but you was whack," and everybody go, "Oh, Eddie was whack," you know. And now all of a sudden you're 10 feet tall. You know what I mean? So my point is that feminism changed the dynamic because now everyone don't really got an excuse to be bad in bed because they got all these, supplements to get men to get up to their game. To where they not because women protested like, yo, this is whack dick. I'm sorry, you don't have to come harder than this. Good pun.
Of course.
Okay, what about this? If he asked, this is a good one because we've talked about this on the show a couple of times. Body count. If he asks about your body count, ask him about his. How many times he's been ran through, ruined, damaged goods. Is he for the streets? Because no woman wants a used car or a chewed up piece of meat. Why buy the entire pig for a piece of sausage? Ask him this. And when he says his body count doesn't matter, ask him how come he has no standards. Thoughts?
I feel attacked. I'm just going to start by saying that. I'm triggered.
These are not my words. Okay. These are free to the author's words. You guys can go to her social media page and check out some of her other posts.
I will say though, I have a couple conservative friends that I've been in a conversation where this was talked about. I don't agree with this because I would be like a hypocrite to ever dog anyone on their body count. I mean, I've had my fun, too much fun. But I heard a couple of my conservative friends say to a girl when she was like, because one time he actually had a problem with someone's body count, and she asked him about the same thing and kind of said, "You a hypocrite." But he said something that was kind of smart. I don't agree with it, but it made me go, "Oh wow, that's a good one." He said something about that if women care more about men's future, right? Because I'm promoting like that. If you build with me, if you marry me, if you get with me, I'm gonna give you a good future. A man is entitled to know what kind of past you had. Because like the same way a woman puts stock on a man's future, because if he's about to graduate, get this diploma, get this job, get this whatever to come up, a man can be like, well, you came from that. How do I know you're not still from the streets or of the streets? So a lot of men, my cousin, I don't want to say my cousin, I said my cousin, but like, yeah, my friend that's real conservative, he said that one time, and we all were like, damn, that's a good point, but I don't agree with it because I do believe in the feminism of idea that you can have as much fun as I can now, and I shouldn't trip. But people like my cousin do believe that like that does lower your virtue, lowers your stock because of your past as a woman. If you tripping about my future, because if I said to you at a dinner party and you asked me if you was feeling me, what am I doing? Oh no, I've been at the same job. Oh no, I don't really know. You'd be so turned off because my future don't look good to you. And his point of view was like, well, your past look crazy because you said college, you was running through people like, you know what I mean, like this and that. How do I know you still ain't about that life?
But that's a flawed argument, though, because if the guy was going crazy in his past, what's to say that once he gets with this woman, he won't keep going crazy?
That's a good point.
Because if the past is going to be your indicator, there's a lot of dudes that shouldn't be married with a woman right now.
Yo, facts. People look at women like cars and objects now, which I think is terrible. I would never compare a woman to like a car that loses its value after a couple owners. I'm like, bro, that'd be crazy to talk that way, knowing who I am. But a lot of people still run with that old philosophy, that old doctrine.
But that's the thing with feminism, though, that equality. If you're going to use that argument on, you know what I'm saying, if you're going to use that logic has to fit all scenarios. You can't say, oh, because I pee standing up and you pee sitting down, it only applies to you. Why? We talk about people having sex, right? We talk about lots of sex equals something negative, right?
And I agree. And that's the thing that I think a lot of women have a problem with, because I don't think that's right. And I used to, again, coming from growing up in the South, in the church, having that mindset of, because I thought that about girls who were doing the most from a woman's perspective. I mean, I'd never like disrespect someone or call them out or judge them out loud, but internally I'll be thinking, she be doing too much. But it never made me think less of her as a person, but I did think negatively about how she was moving at that time. And now I don't think negatively about anybody moving that way, because again, like I've just started to understand and believe truly that, to Jay's point, if we talking about sexual activity, I'm having fun, you're having fun. How you got more bodies than me, but mad at how many bodies I got? Make that make sense. So I think that men really need to get out of that, because for one, it's stupid. It makes no sense logically, and men are supposed to be so logical, but how is that math? Because it's real logical.
To their math, to
logical.
men's math, to their math, it's like, if she has a bigger body count than me, that's gonna activate an insecurity where I can't control her. Because I think most men, if they can't get a leverage over their woman in bed, to most men, when this is a kind of a little party, this is kind of a worst kept secret if people don't notice. If you can't control if you can't satisfy your woman to the highest degree that she's ever been satisfied as a partner or a husband, even, like you will develop an insecurity. You'll always know that there could be someone better than you, and that, matter of fact, maybe even worse, there is someone better than you, and that really messes with some people's insecurity, knowing that they may even have all the money in the world, but they know that they cannot satisfy their woman because she's been, she's had a lot of good sex in her life. And like I said, we all develop preferences when we do have a body count, even men. And that's why sometimes there's always a little bit of insecurity if I knew I was with a woman that her ex was the one that turned her out. Like that, I don't think a lot of men could do that. I don't know about you, Jay. I could marry a woman that got turned out if I couldn't turn her out more. Like, I would be fucked up. I'd be like, I'd have an insecurity of knowing that, like, oh man, it don't matter what I'm doing, that ex of hers must have, like, it's terrible. And I think women kind of had the same insecurity too, because everybody in this room has had a conversation where an ex or a boyfriend or an ex asked you, who is better than me? Did anybody bust that open? I mean, anybody? And then if you say, like, ooh, if you stutter a little bit too much, bruh, even as a man, you get yourself in trouble. Oh, baby, you was the best. You gotta sing that Drake song like he never sang it. Baby, you the best. You know what I mean? Like, because let your wife tell you, well, there was that dude back when I was studying abroad in Italy. Ooh, I think his name was like Patrizio. He turned me out. Bruh, you would cancel that wedding so quick, bruh. Because you just can't live like that. Men can't live like that.
That's why them conversations really don't have no value, though. You know what I'm saying? Because on one hand, we talk about the past. On the other hand, can never be proven. It's just words. You know what I'm saying? Baby, you the best. I mean, come on, man. Let's all be real. The person that you've had the best sex with is the person that you either above or below at the time that you're saying it. It's in the middle of you having sex, baby, you the best. Each one of them women have been the best. Each one of them men have been the best. It's just what you say during sex.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But if you had a lot of preferences / bodies, it's it's like you kind of know, like, wow, like this girl turned me out, and you want that again. And sometimes there's an insecurity that can get sparked with when someone got enough bodies, or where they can admit to you, like, I love you, you're the man of my dreams, but ooh, man, it was that guy Jay Mitch back in Queens that broke my back. Like, I don't think any man would be like, oh, really? Tell me more. Like, if I can't break you back better than anyone else, we ain't getting married. I know that sounds superficial, but a lot of people are like that, man.
That's what I'm saying. That conversation don't never need to be had. Who is the
But some
best?
people go there. Some people go there.
Yeah,
Carolyn,
I
Crazy.
agree. I don't see
Crazy.
myself ever having that
Carolyn, how many people have
conversation.
asked you? How many men have asked you to, like, yo, was that the best? Yo, did anybody beat the, and you've had to like either lie or change the subject. Like, it's real. Like, dudes really want to know.
Yeah, no one's
Or
asked me that.
did you come? Did you gush? Did you squirt? I mean, and you like, okay.
Well, it's different for yourself, but the comparison, that's weird, man.
But yo, cats are like that heavy, man. I don't know if
I
that's something
agree.
that
The
guys go out of.
conversation, I would personally, I'm with you, Jay Mitch. That's something that I would. That's not a conversation that I would have, and I think it's pointless. But for all the reasons that you stated earlier, but I do also agree with Eddie. There are people who have those conversations.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
it's like, okay, let me move on to this one because this one is really good. Cooking and cleaning aren't skills required for marriage. They're skills required for independence. And so long as we continue telling women that those skills are required for marriage, men will never be independent.
That's crazy.
What's
I was
crazy?
in, I was independent before I met you. What you talking about? Fam, I've been running this for years. Like, and for some, and for
Cooking and
some,
cleaning before by yourself?
yeah, and,
Well,
and for some,
why do we associate? For example, I was seeing a guy one time and he came over and I hadn't gone to the grocery store. There was no groceries in the house. And he went in the refrigerator. He's like, "You don't got no groceries in the house." He was like, "You something about like you wouldn't make a good wife." And he
Oh,
said it
wow.
jokingly, but also he meant it. Or he said something like, "My grandmother told me if you don't have if a woman doesn't have groceries in the house, then that means she's not going to make a good wife." And he associated to cooking. So, first of all, have you guys ever been told that by anyone before? Have you guys ever heard that saying at all? That
I've
if
heard
you
of it.
you said what?
No, I'm saying, I mean, I've heard it, and I've espoused some of them views before. You know what I'm saying? In my youth, and depending on what you're looking for in a woman, there's some truth to that. There's some value to it. If you're looking for a woman to run the household, to be the executor of your domicile, then yeah, she need to know to cook and clean. If you're not going to be paying for chefs and housekeepers, because that's ultimately going to be her responsibility. So yeah, there's some truth to that if that's going to be her role. But again, if her role is going to be he works, she works, y'all both working. If y'all both splitting the money coming in, I mean, the getting of the money, y'all better be splitting how the house is getting maintained. That's just my personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? So it's,
Yeah.
it's, it's changed over the years, but once upon a time, yeah, you know, yeah, she got to be able to know. No, I wasn't tripping on the cleaning. It was the cooking for me. Because, you waited in my heart, cook something for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm slim. I like to eat. So, you know what I mean? You could do that, then you got me. But the cleaning, not so much. But if you running around talking about, yeah, I need me a six-figure man so I could be a kept woman and be in the house, and oh, I want to raise his children. That's it. I don't want to work. I want my man to take me off the take me off the economy. Then you better know how to cook and clean and do everything else in that house that need to be done.
I don't disagree with that. So I guess it depends on the roles
My
that you
mom,
guys.
yeah. My mom used to always say that you meet a woman 3 times in her life, if you're lucky. Once when you fall in love, once when y'all get married, and then once when y'all have kids. And I can tell you, when I first met my wife and we were dating, she was this ain't even hyperbole. She was the worst pet parent ever. Like, she was a terrible. She had this little chihuahua, little Yorkie, and I grew up with dogs, so I was like, yo, she didn't never walk the dog. She was horrible. And I remember in my mind, people used to say, like, yo, anybody that can't be a good pet parent probably couldn't be a real parent. And I can tell you right now that my wife is a mother, and she's like the best mother I've ever seen. Like, if mothering was an Olympic sport, my wife would be gold all the time. But she, even now, even today, she can't manage a plant. Like, I have a running joke that if I buy her flowers or plants, which she loves, they die like Like they die within a week. It's like hilarious.
I
But with
can't
these
keep nothing
kids,
alive either.
she's a beast. And my point is that, you can't go by like opening somebody's refrigerator and be like, oh, you ain't got no milk. Where the eggs at? Like, bro, like you ain't even kicked that gear yet. It's like, when you get the playoffs, then you know who you are as a player. It's just preseason, homie. You don't, you ain't, can't judge me by my layup. Let me,
Yeah, I thought it was such a superficial comment and really
yeah.
judgy. And I mean, obviously, we did not work out, but that always stuck with me because I
Really?
did. It triggered me a little bit, like I did go inside myself later on and was thinking about that. Like, well, damn, now I feel like I got to keep groceries in the house all the time.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
my wife went and learned how to cook, like even stuff from my old country, like Caribbean stuff. She went and like found recipes because when a woman want to step her game up, they'll step their game up, man. That's why I don't buy the whole. But I'm not a cook. Nah, but you like to Jay's point, man. I want to build with you. I'm gonna show you my hammers and my nails. And my wife was learning recipes that no American girl would really have to put all in to do it. She learned how to make sancocho, pollo guisado. Like was calling my mom, like, what do I buy? What do I buy? And I'm coming home from an airport one time. She made paella, and I was like, yo, where'd you learn this?
Okay.
And she like laughed. She was showing off because she was letting me know, like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna show you I can step up. And she had never wanted to do that for anybody before. So my point is, it's never, you can't judge a player's game in the first inning.
I agree. I have a stat for you guys. 45% of women between ages 25 and 44 are expected to be single and child free by 2030. And I've seen these stats before, and they're mostly given in a negative connotation, like the world is about to end. All these women are going to be single with their cats. Um, even JD Vance, didn't he make some comment about like women who don't have children, or basically that like they don't have as much value in society or something along those lines? I don't want to misspeak, but
Yeah, their vote didn't count. Their vote doesn't count.
right, like so. What do you guys think about that? Because here's how she responded to that statistic. She says, beware, the patriarchy will convince you that this is a terrible thing to happen to women, but it is in fact a terrible thing to happen to men. So if almost half of the women are single and childless in the next, 5 or 6 years, let's talk about how you think that will impact women, how you think that would impact men, how you think it would impact dating. Like what kind of impact do you think that will have?
I mean, you said childless and single.
Single and childless.
I can see a lot more casual dating happening from within that age group and people just not claiming other people. But at the end of the day, we all want to be around somebody. We all want certain things from the opposite sex, especially the older we get. I mean, just, me growing up and getting older, I've learned to become more reliant on my spouse, but at the same time, less reliant for other things because I'm just setting my ways and, I'm happier with a lot of things now versus it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way, it's got to be just like this. You know what I'm saying? The world will revolve around me as much the older I get. But, at the same time, people are going to want to be around people in some capacity. And the older you get, the more you're going to need somebody in certain situations. I always go back to when you get older, you're going to need somebody when, for instance, I don't know, get that wisdom tooth removed and they got you, and the doctor got you on oxy, and you know what I'm saying? You laid up in the
Why does
house or
that have
something
to
like
be
that.
somebody of the opposite sex?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it don't have to be, but
Mhm.
just as people, you know what I'm saying? We want to be around somebody. We tend to want to be around people that we feel something for. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whether it be a relative, and of course, we tend to not want to lean on our relatives. We tend to put significant other, boyfriend, husband. We tend to put people that we care about in that position. Even friend with benefits. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless you catch the flu, shorty that it was just a physical thing with, and you ain't got nobody. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got nobody else to call or your family around. If you don't pick up the phone and call her shorty, you gonna be wishing that she called you. Hey, how you feeling? Oh, I'm messed up. Damn, I'm feeling bad. You want me to bring you something over? Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't no dude has ever turned down shorty from coming through with the hot soup. You know what I'm saying? And the Theraflu packs, even though it was just physical. I ain't even feeling it like that, fam. You feeling some kind of way because she on the way right now with the Theraflu while you under the blanket shivering.
Is it a matter of convenience? Because that's somebody you can rely on.
I don't think it's convenience. I think it boils down to when you're in a pinch, you call people that you believe are gonna like show up for you. And the people that tend to show up for you are the people that generally you tend to care for and those who tend to care for you.
That's fair. How do you guys address when people are exhibiting sexist behaviors and attitudes in your social circle? Like, say you guys are hanging out with the boys in the barbershop or something, and then, I don't know, a woman comes in that's bringing her son in for a haircut or something. Like, how, and the men are being a little bit disrespectful. Because I think it's important, like, we want to bring people together. That's the whole point of this podcast. Like, let's address the issues that we have, and then let's offer solutions. So for the little bit of time we have left, I want to kind of talk about like how we can support what we think is the right thing. So if we think that women being equal in status, politically, and things of that nature, salaries, things of that nature, how can we do that? How can we come along and support that from a man's perspective? No one knows.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm all about equal, but still things are not the same for men and women. I think there's always a come to Jesus with every woman when they find out that they might have said the wrong thing to the wrong man. That probably does believe in equal opportunists, which means he will knock you the fuck out. And that's when a woman goes, oh, so this is what equal looks like. Because I think there's that hypocrisy of like, you can say something to a man and usually the old doctrine was like, yeah, he'll just shrug you off. But now there's some men right now, whether you want to talk crazy, they will knock you out. And I think for the most part, for me, when I see that coming, I'll try to intervene and be like, oh, mama, let's talk real quick. Because sometimes women think like, oh, I can say what I want. But, that's, you got to pay. It's not like, ain't nobody going to pay for you now. But I think I do believe in women having all the freedoms and all that stuff. But then I don't think a lot of women have caught up with the accountability yet. Because that's the part I see a lot happen more often than usually, is that women think they can wear that skirt and not realize that why they're talking about them at work now. And it ain't even so much the men. It's other women that are hitting the women, seeing like, oh, wow, you always got to be showing off your stuff, huh, Carolyn? And it's women hating, and all of a sudden you see this, you're getting more ostracized. And in your mind, you're just being feminist. You're being free. But now you realize it ain't actually free, because now you're getting a lot of people giving you backlash. It could be your mama, your sister, your cousin. Your girls all of a sudden don't talk to you like that deep no more because they don't trust you because you out here showing your ass. And when you ask about their man, they be quiet. Matter of fact, they don't want your man around you no more. You know what I mean? Oops.
There's no need to ask
warning,
about nobody's
trigger warning. Okay. So like at the end of the day, the freedom ain't free. We know that as men, and it's not fair to say this out loud. We know this right away because we were born free. We know like, okay, that ain't free. I can't talk the shit that I used to because old boy just hit me in the face. But women don't know that the way we do. But y'all learning now. And that's why, like, even the language is changing so much. Like, I think the thing that I knew things were changing is when Dana White got caught on tape slapping the shit out of his wife and didn't even get in trouble for it. Did you see that, Jay?
No.
Do you know who Dana White is?
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the owner of the UFC. He was
Yeah.
at like a club in front of hundreds of people, like live on a Saturday, and his wife was in his face doing one of these. And
Oh,
he dealt with her as if she was a man doing one of these in his face. And he slapped the yo, Google it, don't believe me.
I believe
Slapped
you.
the shit out of her. And no backlash. No sponsors dropped out. Nobody, he didn't have to apologize, no apology tour. And I was like, oh shit, we in a different world now. Note to self, I gotta tell my daughter, don't talk that shit like that. Try to work it out with somebody. Because so it's anyway, so that's my point. Like I would really like tell my daughter, tell my friends that I love and care, or even if I saw it at the barbershop and if I saw a woman getting heated up, I try to warn her, like, yo, he ain't about that life. He might, come for you. And, let her know, like, don't do that. Don't do that with that one. He didn't get the memo. He didn't get the email where he's supposed to walk away.
Yeah, and I think as women, we do have to be careful with that because there's studies show that there are increasing amounts of violent crimes committed against women, and they're typically from people they know, people that they have relationship with, relatives or boyfriends or husbands. And so I think that that is something that we have to be conscious of when we are, thinking about how we have a say in things and like how we approach different things. But you can't like trying to put your hands on a man if he makes you upset and then cry victim if he puts his hands on you. Now, I hope I don't piss any women off when I say this because I don't believe that men should be putting their hands on women. But I also do not believe that women should be putting their hands on men. Period, point blank. So we have to think about those kind of things when we are coming out of pocket with our words or even, getting physical with a man. Like, like I think about Rihanna and Chris Brown. He took so much heat for that for so long. He still, a lot of people still don't mess with him, but she hit him too. She didn't get any fallout from that. She was immediately victimized. And I don't condone the violence on either end, but I will say that I don't think it's fair that he paid such a huge price for that incident and she didn't, she didn't have any repercussions. She has the physical scars just like he did. And so I think that as women are trying to continue to fight for equality and how the way that they see it, we just have to be mindful of certain things because like you said, it's like there still needs to be some type of, I don't know, maybe like balance as far as men and women are concerned. I want to talk about one quick thing. I don't know if I shared this earlier or not. So if I shared it already, just let me know if I shared it because I was talking about it early at work. So now I'm like, did I tell them that or was it when I was talking about it at work? So just let me know. So I was reading something that was talking about there was this is kind of like how our society works right now. And this is one of the reasons why women feel like it's necessary to have a feminist movement. So there was a woman and she was walking with a guy, but he was kind of like trailing a little bit. And so as she walked by a group of men, they were like catcalling and like, being disrespectful with their words or everything. And then, when he caught up with her, they realized that he was with her. They apologized, but they apologized to him. They didn't apologize to the woman. So I think that says a lot about how society kind of views women. And that's not good because in that situation, you were being disrespectful to the woman. You feel like you're being disrespectful to the man too, because if that was his lady or whatever the case may be, but like your behavior was directed towards the woman, and yet you didn't feel the need to apologize to the woman. You felt the need to apologize to the man. What do you guys think about that?
I think dude should have been like cool, but tell her that. Apologize to her if you're gonna apologize to me.
Yeah.
100%. But it goes back to what we just talked about. That's the aspect that is always going to make us different from men and women is the violence part. And the reason that it was instinct for a man to apologize to the man that she was with is because they knew that he was the one that can inflict the violence on them. Nobody's scared of a woman per se. Of course, I'm scared of you, Carolyn. But I mean, like,
Should be.
yeah, I'm scared of you. I'm scared of you. So I know you.
Be very afraid.
But my point is, if you were with Jay and a bunch of us was like, we didn't know because Jay was kind of like tying his shoe and we didn't see the space and we didn't know that he was with you, we're going to apologize to Jay because we know Jay can kick our ass. And we're thinking, yo, that dude is brawler. Cuz, my bad, homie. I didn't know. I thought she was with herself, homie. My bad. You know, he was taking a phone call. I didn't know. You know what I mean? So, like, even though but it's almost like, I'm not talking about wrong or right. I'm just talking about real. Because the truth is, women can't hurt us. So we're not tripping off you. I am sorry that I said that about you, but I'm more apologizing to him because he can hurt me. And that's the part that's the dynamic part, the Chris Brown, Rihanna part, where like we're still using the same language as if it's chivalry of like he beat her. When the truth is, like you said, they was just fighting and she lost. You know? And that's the thing that feminism hasn't caught up with the accountability yet. Because some women still think they can go to a barbershop and talk shit and put fingers in a man's face or mush a man and not realize this dude is like 210, solid. And you walking around 110 soaking wet. What's going to happen? You know what I mean? Shit, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get fucked up.
What's crazy is they do those, they can do those things to a woman knowing that there's a chance of violence. But somehow they'll do it with a man, and that idea of this can turn violent completely out the window because the expectation is this is a man. He's been taught, and the society has impressed upon him that he is to not put hands on me, which is, what I'm saying, that's crazy. And women, these power dynamics with men and women and feminism and the patriarchy and all this, we live through it from the day we're born until we're grown adults, and we see it all the time, and we're aware of it consciously and subconsciously. Women know when they're in a position of advantage with a man, just like men know when they're in a position of advantage with a woman, regardless of the situation. Feminism is kind of the rise of feminism is giving women a little more power. So sometimes there are situations where still trying to figure out exactly who has the power. But for the most part, things have been generally how they always have been. Woman does something wrong, she starts crying, here's some sympathy. You know what I'm saying? Or, a man knows that if a woman needs something from him, he can try to leverage her need for, as a way to, what I'm saying, get what he wants from her. Like, these power dynamics are always there, and feminism's around and it's been changing things, but ultimately it's going to take a long time before men look at women as equals and women look, and women look at men as equals. It's going to take a long time, a lot of work on both sides.
I agree with that. Well, we are out of time, so I'm going to pass it back to Eddie to close out. Who are you over there looking at?
Oh, my daughter was saying goodnight.
Oh, hey, boo. Is she still out there?
Yeah, she was looking through the window. I'm outside.
Oh, she's looking through the window. Oh, okay. I was going to say, put her on the camera so we can say hey.
I know, right?
Closing out, any last minute thoughts on feminism and the impact on dating, how we could kind of continue to chip away at the little progress that we've made, or anything you want to say?
No. I mean, I think everything we're talking about is real and honest, and it needs to be said. I always, my disclaimer, and I've said this a million times, is that I was raised wrong. I was raised by a strong single woman. My father was trash. So I saw how strong and how super my mom had to be. I saw the strength from my three sisters and how strong they had to be, putting themselves through school, law school, doctors. I mean, by themselves. And I say all that to say that I hate the fact I believe, and I don't know the history, but if to me it feels like feminism was created by men, or the fault of men, or the lack of men, the men stepping up. So women had to figure out like I can't depend on this system, this doctrine that's going to take care of me. So then they created a new infrastructure where they had to get it themselves, and now men have had to are changing. I hope they change all the way to where they can understand that they have to lead with integrity now. It can't just be like, yo, I'm Mr. Hot Shot. I look like Morris Chestnut. I got it going on. Just follow suit, follow line, and get on me. Now, women you have to lead with straight up honesty and integrity and loyalty, like you would like how you expect her to be. And I think because of the dynamic of women having to do everything by themselves, because we fell off, um, now it's a whole new day, and we have to learn how to respect women in the way that we would want to be respected, not in this pet partnership that we used to come. We all were raised, to believe, and I hope we get there. I believe we will, because I don't want to ever control my woman, man. I love that my woman is a force. I love that when I'm down, she gonna drop triple doubles, and we'll be all right for the next duration of the game or the series. I don't have to be like, what they gonna do? LeBron is down. Nah, he got some two hitters in there that can figure it out with him when he's down. I don't want a woman that's too small for me, that I can control and I can say jump, stay, how I don't want to make that, you overcooked my grits again. Come on now. Like I want to be able to, I want to build with somebody for real, for real. And I think a lot of men are missing the long view. They're too short sighted and thinking, I just want a pet. I want a girl I can control. She looked good in the meeting. She looked like Beyonce. But it's like you can't win that way all the way. You got to have somebody that's gonna show you something, that's gonna teach you something that you can build off of as well,
and hold you accountable.
hold me accountable. Like I
Yeah.
can't like sleep. I can't sleep on if my wife was a small little puny woman. I could get away with anything. I could have a couple side chicks and be all right with that and call that a life. I like the fact that if my wife caught me with a side chick, my marriage is done. She ain't having that. I like that fear. I know that sounds weird. I like the fact that if I call Jay outside his name, he gonna knock me out. That's gonna keep our friendship honest. That he will never let me call him outside his name because he got the one hitter quitter, and that keeps me honest as a friend to him. That I should never say, yo, Jay, you a bitch. Whoops, knocked out. He on the news now. I want that for my wife. I want my wife to be like, it's over. You got that chick over there pregnant? Oh, it's over. I'm out of here. I don't want a chick that's gonna forgive me. I know that's too much, but that's the truth. I love it. I'm with the feminists. I love it. I'm with it.
Jay, what you
Pussy
got?
power.
I just hope women understand that wanting equality is going to come with some responsibilities. It's not a carte blanche pass to just do whatever you want in society, do whatever you want, however you want, There's going to be some standards you're going to have to uphold. The more power you get in the society, there's going to be more repercussions that comes with, the power that y'all keep developing. Men have power now, and at the end of the day, men are held to standards. We have repercussions, and we have responsibilities, you know, in society as a whole, to our families, So I just hope women understand that the more men look at you as equal and treat you as equal, the more responsibilities y'all gonna have to whatever we're a part of, because we're gonna hold women accountable. And the words women and accountable are popping up in more and more conversations now with men, just for that reason. Because there are men that understand women want to be treated differently. Granted, we are going to hold you to that then. Because again, that dropping some tears and everything's just gonna be all right, ain't gonna work no more. if you want us to treat you equally, because we see a man drop some tears, we'll console him and be like, figure that shit out.
Mm.
We gonna expect similar from y'all, you know. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's gonna take work on both sides of the fence, men and women both. We're gonna have to start treating women better. You know, we have to start treating grown women like we treat our daughters. We have to give them that level of respect. We
Yeah.
have to treat grown women with the same level of respect that we have for our mothers.
Facts.
We have to treat them the same way we treated our teachers. We're gonna have to have that same level of reverence we have for them. We're gonna have to, you know, like we have for our homeboys.
I love that. Are you finished? I'm sorry, I don't want to
Yeah,
cut you.
that's it. That's it.
Okay, that's good. That was so good, you guys. Thank you, because I feel like that is really, you guys are really speaking to the men directly, and I feel like a lot of men need to hear what you guys had to say. I think it's very important. So I love what both of you said. I think I would just say, as far as women are concerned, like, just don't let anyone diminish your light. As a woman, you can be strong and feminine at the same time. You can be independent and also be submissive to the right, in the right situation, or to the right man at the same time. You don't have to necessarily fall into a certain role where who you are and what you can do and what you can accomplish is being diminished just because you're a woman. And I would also say to women, like, I think a lot of that comes with just being really confident in who you are as a woman, and like having that level of peace within yourself, and that inner strength to say, you know, hey, I'm a woman, I can do this, I'm capable. But also, if you're held to a higher level of accountability, then you have to be ready to put your big girl pants on and handle that too. Like, I'm with you on that, Jay. Like, that crying in the corner shit. No, you cannot do that and still ask, to be held on a certain level and be held to a certain regard. And I would say to the men, as a woman, absolutely, men need to be focusing on how they're treating women. Pour into women, uplift women, empower women. Stop putting women down. And this music that we listen to, it puts women down. Like, we just need to start really rethinking, kind of like where we're giving our time and energy and support when it comes to how women are being treated. And that's all I would say. I just think that's very important. I'm so glad we have this conversation. I think it was really helpful. It was extremely insightful. Thank you guys both for being here. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're here each and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Jay sends his love. He couldn't make it today, but we're going to talk about him next week on the show, because we was on time today when he was out. Okay? I'm just saying. Yes, I'm starting it because he was. Anyway, we love you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. As Jay always says, we're not experts. We're just people having dialogue, because we really want to bring us together. We really want to have strong, healthy, loving relationships that are going to help move our culture forward as a whole. So that's what we're all about here. So come back and join us next Tuesday. Love you guys. Good night.
All right.
Bye.